on the rundown. Screen 6 has finally sliced and diced its way onto the big screen, and I'll give you my thoughts in my full spoiler review. Speaking of reviews, I'll also give you my overall thoughts on Chris Rock's special Selective Outrage and the Selective Outrage surrounding the special. Plus, RuPaul and the girls of Drag Race are finally speaking out about the recent anti-drag law that has been put into place in Tennessee.
They look for easy targets so they can give the impression of being effective. They think our love, our light, our laughter, and our joy are signs of weakness, but they're wrong.
Plus, we also have some tea on Lizzo, Pedro Pascal, Tamron Hall versus Porsha Williams, and a whole lot more on The Rundown with your host, Chris Avalon.
Well, greetings, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. It's your boy, Chris Avalon, and welcome to The Rundown, the sassiest and messiest talk show currently on the internet. I'm messing my own goddamn opening. But anyway, so for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, The Rundown is basically a show where I break down all the juiciest headlines in entertainment and pop culture. So Since this is a 2-hour show, grab yourselves a drink, a snack, a blunt, or whatever is going to make you feel comfortable. And you got to get cozy so we can get in this good old gig. So, yes, I want y'all to get all nice and loose and things. Let me put my computer back. Okay, much better. Okay, so now before we get into this week's tea, please do yourselves a favor and smash that good old like and subscribe button. And be sure to follow all my social media platform situations that you're going to see in a second down below. So that way, you can keep track of where I be. Like you can follow, no, not track, like stalker stuff. But, so you can just follow me and all my latest, whatever's is going on, my little memes, my posts, all that other stuff, all the things that I post throughout the week regarding what's going on in pop culture. You're definitely going to see that throughout the week, and then I'll incorporate it some way into the show. So we do have a lot to get to today. We're going to be, as you saw in the opening, we're going to talk about Scream 6. I'm going to do a full spoiler review. I'm not going to cover everything because so much happened in this freaking movie. But what I will ask is that once I'm done and everything, you can leave your comments down below and chime in and all this other stuff. But I know people are still seeing this movie. There's other YouTubers, influencers, people who do what I do, who already got their spoiler reviews up. You all have a choice whether or not you want to do it. So once I start getting into it, if you haven't seen it yet and you're watching, you can mute it. And then come back to the show. I'll probably wave my hands, whatever, or you see when we go to the next photo, which would mean we go into the next topic. But yeah, so we're going to do a full spoiler review, giving my overall thoughts. I did do a little small review over on my TikTok and stuff. But then we also got some tea on, we're going to talk about RuPaul because, this whole situation, what's going on in Tennessee and the whole drag situation where they're trying to go after drag queens and they're going after the gays. And now they're going after black people, which it's funny how them same black folks that was so... oh, I don't care. They trying to put them with us and blah, blah. Like queers don't exist in black communities, right? So now they're coming after interracial marriage and all this other stuff. Now you're bothered. Now the same shit that was going on. Oh, this is a cute little color. I like this. Oh, look, and I'm finally in the square. And I have to adjust myself for once. Because I was ready. I also realized my camera and everything looks much better. It's because I got a new computer, bitch. So yes, for my prior job, I'm going to let you in on a little something, something. So my prior job, there was a whole situation that happened. I got a settlement. And first things first, even though I still got plenty left over, I use some of that settlement money and I'm investing in my strength. So new computer, who this, and all this other good stuff. So everything is looking cute or whatever. I can see myself clearer on screen. I don't look like I'm, blurry. All the good stuff. I'm so mad because I forgot to get my damn chapstick, but I ain't getting up to get it. So I'll probably be LL Cool J in and licking my lips throughout the whole damn show. Hopefully don't get chapped. But anyway, so we got a lot of tea to get to. You'll see what all the stuff, because over on my right, and probably y'all left, we always have what's coming up on the show, so you guys be aware. Production's always on it. We're letting you know what we're going to be having. So it's going to be a fun little show, as always. We're going to kiki, we're going to be messy. And I'm going to give my opinion, whether you want to hear it or not. My unfiltered opinion. So anyway, let's get into this good old gig. So let's get into, before we get to the topics, there is something that I do want to mention. I did not tell production this, but yeah, it was like in my mind. So I want to give my condolences to the family of DJ Eugene Ito. He was a good friend of mine. I did not know what happened. Okay, so I went out to see Scream and everything on Thursday night. Came home, everything was whatever. Friday, I woke up. I was out, and then I heard from another DJ friend of mine, shout out to Nandi, that he had passed away. Actually, he was killed. So what happened was, and it was in the news. So I posted on my Facebook, he was riding his bike on his way home in Brooklyn, and I believe he got clipped by a truck, and it was a hit and run. They're still looking for the person. So if you do know anything, if anybody's seen anything, or whatever the case, definitely, Crime Stoppers is your friend, 577 Tips. Please hit them up and give them the whatever information. He was married to his partner of 17 years. This is someone who has a family, all this other stuff. He was well beloved within the nightlife community. Particularly, he worked at a lot of establishments in Hell's Kitchen. So whenever I would, go to Rise, or a lot of other spots in Hell's Kitchen. We always ran into each other. We exchanged pleasantries. I flirted with them. Yes, I will admit it. But that's what you do in nightlife. When you run into your friends and things, you flirt, you hug, you kiss, and then you just keep it pushing. But yeah, he was a good friend of mine. He was one of the good ones, and he will definitely be missed. So shout out to the family. So shout out to DJ Eugene and his husband and his family, because it's it's unfortunate. But yeah, so hopefully they find the person that did this. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the show. All right, so I went to go see Scream 6 on Thursday. I was so excited to see this movie. Shout out to Paramount because they hyped this film up. And I have to say, they definitely knew they had a good one on their hands, because I have to say, this is the first Scream movie since Scream 2 that I overly enjoyed and had a good time at the theater watching. I'll even rank the movies at the end to let you know which place that I want to put them in. But for the most part, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I loved it. So I went after work. I went and worked out a little bit. I was trying to see how I could fit all that in, the gym schedule, all that stuff, because it was the 7:00 show. I went over on 84th Street to go see the film. They had the nice big reclining chairs and everything, so I had a really good time. So yeah, I went to go see it. And I have to say, yeah, I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I don't know, I did, and then as soon as I came home, I did do a little, I did do a small little straight out the theater review. I know a lot of people do their straight out of theater reviews where they want to do it straight out the theater. I was like, I'm a cheat. I'm not gonna do something while I'm walking down the street to the movie theater giving my thing. Because then I tried it. Okay, no, I'm not gonna lie. I tried doing it that way, but it looked like I was cross-eyed, like I had the Andy Cohen wonky eye. I wasn't looking directly at the camera. The camera was, I'm trying to hold it here, and this is like my eyes everywhere, but looking at the camera, I looked like I wasn't even looking at it, like I was acting. So I was like, this looks a mess. I don't like the lighting. It's too dark outside. I'm thinking Ghostface will get my ass, because first of all, it took place in New York. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just wait till I get home. I'm going to do the green screen background. I'm going to get the ring light. I'm going to do a whole production. And then, so I did it with TikTok, because, TikTok, you could do the whole production with it. So I gave a little quick review, and I was going to do a whole spoiler review, because I said, I want to give everybody an opportunity to see this film first before I come out and give my opinion. And I have to say, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I had a great time with the film. Is it perfect? No. But I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I had a great time at the theater. I was laughing. I was screaming. I didn't scream, but I was like, pun intended. But I was deeply in the film, and when I watch these type of movies, I really want to get into it, because it's like, to me, it's like this, and it kind of felt like it was almost like, the core four, which would be Tara, Sam, Chad, and Mindy. They're like the Scooby Gang. Similar to remember when Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they had the little Scooby Gang? It was giving very that. So it's like you got the meta horror stuff, and then you have the little group of friends, and then you got the stuff going on, and you're trying to solve the mystery, who could be the killer, and all this other stuff. So that's what I like. But before we jump into all of that, I have to also say this was the best opening kill that I've seen in a long time. Very strong opening. I absolutely love this opening. This was top notch. So I have to say this is my third favorite opening kill. What I was so upset about was the fact that the opening kill was Samara Weaving. And I love Samara Weaving. She was in Ready or Not, and she's got like Final Girl vibes. But they already had their Final Girls. So unfortunately, she could be a Final Girl. But I got it that they used her as the opening kill, which I kind of sensed she was gonna be. The more I started seeing of the previews and things, I was like, she gonna die in the beginning. And she did. But I like the setup. So basically, Samara Weaving plays, she was in Ready or Not. And Ready or Not, and for those you don't know, was directed by Radio Silence, who also directed Scream 5 and the current one. So they're gonna, I love when directors use their favorite actors in prior films and they bring them in. A lot of directors do that. So I love the fact that they did that with this one. So Samara Weaving's out on a blind date. So she's waiting at the bar. She's had a couple of drinks. She gets a phone call. The guy who's calling her I was like, oh, I just love the way this is going. So she's like on the phone. He's like, he's texting her back and forth. I'm lost. Can I call you? And then they're having this conversation. And so she's giving him directions on how to get to the restaurant. And so they're having the conversation, and then they get into kind of like her background and profession. She's a professor who, made us in slasher films. So she talks about like horror movies, slasher films, and that and the third. And so they have this conversation. He's like, what does the building look like? So she goes out, she leaves, go out. I said, child, don't go outside, because I already know what this is. I already knew she was on the phone with Ghostface, because that's pretty much how they always set it up. It's like, okay, it's a regular phone call. It's just a regular voice, and then it's going to become it's going to turn out it's Ghostface. So she goes outside. He's like, oh, I'm lost. Somebody's chasing me. I think he's got a knife. And then she's like, I don't see you. So she's running in the alleyway, and he tricks her, and all of a sudden the Ghostface voice comes on. Ghostface kills her. But the one thing I have to say about it, because I said, it's going to be some shit we ain't never seen before. What I loved about it was they revealed who the Ghostface was in the first 5 minutes of the movie. We have never seen that before. So that's what I love. And it turned out it was the dude from freaking Spider-Man. The one that played, I forgot his damn name. It's Tony something in real life. But he played basically, I think it was Flash. I think that's what he played. And he was trying to be Peter's friend in the last movie. And Peter was like, we'll be friends or whatever. So he was in, he's been in the Spider-Man movie. So he was the killer. Takes the stuff over. He's like, now I see red or something or another. So I liked all the little puns that they had Ghostface saying or whatever. So he takes the stuff off, he's dressed regularly, and we're starting to follow Ghostface. And then I was like, okay, so now if we're following him, that means he's about to die. Because I was like, I'm sitting there like, as it's around, it's like, this is something that as a writer, I'm starting to see it all unfold. So he gets home, he gets a phone call. I was like, okay, so now Ghostface is calling him. He's thinking it's his friend. So the whole thing was, him and his friend were friends, I guess. Richie had did a movie who was in the last film. He was making like this little scary movie. They were going to bring Tara and Sam into it and finish the film. And so they had this plan of killing them off. But this Ghostface was like, oh no, I got other plans for these broads. So they're like, we're supposed to finish our movie. He's like, who gives a fuck about movies? And then winds up killing him. So it's like, oh, but I love also the part where it's like, oh, you're getting, you don't want to play a game. You got to find where I'm at. So thinking like it's his partner, because of course, when Scream was always got a partner. So it's like they're walking and this and the other. He's looking around the apartment and he's like, oh, you're getting hot. So then when he was cold in some parts, then he's getting hot in other parts. So then it's like, is he in the fridge? Ghostface hot in the fridge? We opened the fridge, and this was a callback because I remember I was seeing like there was a promo or something online, and there was a part where Jenna Ortega was hiding in the refrigerator with a phone, and I'm like, so that's where they kind of got that from, because there's a scene of somebody being in the refrigerator in the movie. Come to find out that his partner in serial killer crime, was cut up in the refrigerator. So then Ghostface, of course, appears behind him and stabs him, and the guts is coming out. So I live for all the gore and all the other stuff. I'm not going to go a whole play-by-play because we'll be here all damn day, and I ain't doing this whole show on no damn screen. So that opening kill was awesome because it's something we haven't seen in a while. So I'm like, oh, I am ready for this little trip that we're about to go on. We're about to go on this roller coaster ride. So I was locked in from that opening. Then I also love the fact that we saw Sam go into therapy, and her therapist was played by Kittredge from the freaking Mission Impossible movie. He was in the first one. I believe he's about to be in, I was looking at his face. I'm like, why do I know this guy? Then all of a sudden I looked it up and it's like, oh, it's the dude that played Kittredge from the Mission Impossible movies. He's going to be in Dead Reckoning because I remember seeing him in that other one. So he plays her therapist. She's going to therapy, getting her life together and trying to figure out like how to deal with this dark passenger because we all know her father is Billy Loomis. So there was a bit of that. So I like that idea of her going to therapy, but the therapist was scared of her because she was talking about how she killed Richie in the last one. And then all of a sudden, she is like, I kind of liked it. So it's kind of played into this whole Dexter territory where it's like, do I follow down this path of the dark passenger that I have inside of me? Is it hereditary? Can your parent be a serial killer and that shit passes down to the kid? So that was kind of like that overall theory and that vibe and that thought from that. And I like that. Also, I love the fact that on the other part, because Tara went to college in New York. Her, Mindy, and Chad all went to college in New York. Sam followed Tara to New York. Tara was out here being a hoe. She want to get in the bed with the nearest person. She's drinking. She's not dealing with the trauma from what happened to her in the last film, where she was stabbed multiple times, was nearly killed. She didn't deal with that trauma, and then I just love the juxtaposition of that, where it's like she hadn't dealt with her stuff. Sam's busy out here trying to watch over her sister and be the overprotector, and then I love the part where it was like Gail was like, "Well, where's your mother in this whole situation?" And basically said that because she told Tara about who her father was, because Mama was out here sleeping with a damn serial killer when he was dating Sydney, she disowned her. And then Tara disowned her mother for disowning Sam. So I did like that whole call to, you know what, you make your family wherever you go, which is what we in our community do, the LGBT community. So I love that. I also love the fact that Ghostface was meaner and more brutal in this film. Like, he was not tripping over fucking chairs and stuff every now and again. Now, he was getting the shit beat out of him at times, but for the most part, this Ghostface was meaner. He was brutal. I love the bodega scene. I've heard people call it a gas station. Child, we do not have those. We have gas stations in New York, but we have bodegas. That's that. If you're gonna do a call of New York, it's a bodega. So that's what that scene was when Ghostface appeared out of nowhere from the college and was chasing down the street, and they go in the bodega trying to seek help, and he grabs a shotgun and shoots the damn the store owner, and he's stabbing people. Like, this motherfucker didn't care, and that's what I live for. The fact that this guy was just brutal, and the kills were aplenty. I also love seeing Kirby Reed come back. You know, I love me some Hayden Panettiere. I've lived for her since she was on One Life to Live back in the day. That's like the same thing when people always talk about Bakari. I live for him. You know, they always like to say Friday Night Lights. Child, he was on All My Children. Y'all didn't stop with that. Y'all not going to just skip right to the Friday Night Lights and The Wire. He started out on, well, he probably started on other shit, but we mostly know him from All My Children. Jackson Montgomery's adopted son. Y'all tried it. Don't sleep on the soaps. But anyway, so I live for Kirby being in the show, you know, and back. She was an FBI agent. Did I kind of buy that she was giving FBI agent vibes? Not really. But I was like, I'm going to just go with it. It's a movie. I did love her conversation with Tara at the theater, where Tara asked her, well, so how did you want to come out in regards of, you know, when she was stabbed and left for dead in Scream 4, she had that near-death experience. She said she died for a couple of minutes, and when she came back, she wanted to show, like, I'm a fighter, like, I'm not going to go down without a fight, that I'm basically going to, you know, that's why she became an FBI agent. So I love that, because there's people who you let it, you either become like the traumatic nut job drunk, like Jamie Lee Curtis in them recent Halloweens, when you get your strength back eventually, or you become a fighter. So I love that. And I also love the Kirby and Mindy movie trivia battle, how they were going back, like, what was their favorite scary movies back in the day? So was it, which Candyman you like, the original and the remake? They said both. I agree. Which Friday 13th is the best Friday 13th? When they said part 2 and the final chapter, I'm like, bitch, first of all, I live for part 2. Part 2, in my opinion, is way more fun than part 1. I know everybody loves part 1 because it's Pamela Voorhees, blah, 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 blah. And I do love that one. But part 2 was a much more fun, more brutal, more crazier Friday 13th. And I like Potato Sack Jason. I also love the final chapter because of Corey Feldman. Oh yeah, we'll get to the clips in a second, but because I'm almost done with this. Okay, so I love that the battle, because remember, Kirby was the film girl in Scream 4, and I liked her in Minnie's thing. I also loved in this film there was so many callbacks to Scream 2, where I think anybody mentioned this, but they mentioned, was Tara going to pledge for Omega Beta Zeta? Omega Beta Zeta was one of the sororities in Scream 2 that Cece, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, Cece Cooper, was a part of. And remember, she was Sober Girl. She got killed by Ghostface. So I did like those callbacks. I like the requel sequel rules was like more blood, more gore, beheadings. Everybody is up for death. Like even the legacy people. Like anybody could die at any moment. So I did love, all of that. There was so many favorite scenes of mine in this film. I love the ladder scene because we had oh my god, what's the guy's name? Josh Segarra. Oh my god, I think he is so hot. But Josh Segarra, who I don't know him from many of things, but I remember he was the baddie on Arrow. I don't remember which season, but I remember he was on Arrow. I loved him in this one. He was basically Sam's secret boyfriend, the neighbor. And during the scene where he's seeing like Quinn in her room with the boyfriend because she was the slutty roommate, and Ghostface standing over her where he's gonna kill her, and he's trying to call them in the other room because they having dinner, and then basically Ghostface stabbed up. Unfortunately, he done killed excuse me. Oh my god, what the hell's her name? I'm like forget. Mindy's girlfriend. We stabbed her in the stomach and then twisted it. There was a lot of that up in here. A lot of over the top stabbings. A lot of all that stuff. So I did like that. Like that scene with the ladder when he puts the ladder across in the room and they had to crawl from out the window from one apartment to the other across the building or whatever with the ladder. I was on pins and needles with that part. Like that was an intense scene for me, but I loved it because it was like then it was shaking the ladder and this, that, and the third, and that was like one of my favorite scenes. Another favorite scene of mine was the chase sequence that rivals Scream 2 between Gail and Ghostface. I live at that. Oh, it's sidebar. Shout out to Gail for being down with the swirl. She had a black boyfriend in this damn movie. I was living for it. He was fine too, but unfortunately, he had to die. Like he basically just lasted like 5 damn minutes, not even. But that whole chase scene when Ghostface calls on the phone and started talking shit about Dewey and saying that you ain't shit, that you wish you was the final girl, or you was the number one, that Sydney was always number one and you were number two. I did kind of like that. There was that meanness, that shadiness from him. So I was living for that. Also, so that Gail chase scene, and I thought she was gonna die. I was like, during that scene, he got some good licks and stabbed the amount of times he stabbed her. I was like, no, they're gonna kill my girl. She did. I say, besides that part, she did feel a little shoehorned in though. Like there was really no reason for Gail to be there. Also, I should say, but I was glad to see her. Also, I should say, one of the things that I do. I hate to say it, but I was not all that upset that Sydney wasn't in this movie. But I did love the fact of how they brought it up, like how they addressed it. They basically said that Sydney, once what had happened and all this other stuff, she deserves her happiness. She deserves her happy ending, basically. So she took her and Mark, as you know, was Patrick Dempsey in Scream 3. She ended up with him, and they wound up having kids and stuff off screen. So she wound up taking her family and trying to go away somewhere safe, and she wasn't as well. So I did like that explanation, and they left it open that if she wants to come back at any time. But at this point, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time that we just kind of build this new franchise with a whole new cast. Like I love Neve Campbell, but how many movies can we have with Neve Campbell where she's not? Where she shows up, she gets stabbed a couple of times. We know they're not going to kill her off. She gives Liv her happy ending for 1 year, and then she comes back and it's the same. It becomes the same cycle of the same thing, and it gets repetitive and it gets boring. I love Sydney. I love the character of Sydney, but this has been 25 years. She's been 25 plus years. She's been dealing with Ghostface. How many times you going to be dealing with this man before you like enough is a damn love? So I like that Radio Silence has figured out a way to, we bringing in these new characters. We found a way to keep this Scream series alive. Much respect to the legacy people who carried the torch of this film, but let new blood and stuff come in. Okay, now my cons for this film, because I need to hurry and wrap this up. I already was going too damn long. My cons for this film, I have to say, it was falling a little bit in the Fast and the Furious territory. There were sequences where people were getting stabbed, and I'm like, how the fuck are they still alive? Chad got stabbed at least 50 damn times. How the hell that nigga survive? Well, maybe I should. Like, okay. How the hell did he live? They're like, we got another one. I'm like, okay, come on. And then it was like the scene with Mindy. Mindy got stabbed in the arm. I can understand that because she was bleeding out and she was really selling that stab too. But the scene where she's on the 1 train, so they didn't mention what train it was, but I know what train it is because I take the 1 train to work every morning, or if I'm traveling, I always take the 1 train is close to do. So when you go on 72nd Street, 68, 96, I'm like, that's the 1 train. If you're going local from Harlem to wherever, that's the 1 train. So when they got separated and you had Ethan and Mindy on 1 train and everybody else on the other train, because she didn't get to get on the train. It was Halloween, and you had all the people with the, the different costumes on, and you had like multiple Ghostface on the thing, and then the lights going out, and you're seeing like Ghostface is staring dead at her because she's up against, the little divide, the closing doors, not the doors where people coming in and out of, but the door in between the cars. When you're going in between cars, she's standing up against it because she want to keep her eyes on stuff, but then the lights is going in and out on the train. Child, I was on pins and needles. And then Ghostface comes up to her, covers her mouth and stuff. You see it in the commercial, but the way they edited it made it look a little different. So that scene had me on pins and needles. Now to get to this damn ending, the reveal, I did not see it coming that we was going to have 3 Ghostface in this movie. Now, I did love the part that when they were at the place where, they had the shrine, the old movie theater, where they had the big shrine with all the different masks, where they basically had someone who was wearing all the masks from the original films. So it was like from the last one on down, and it was counting down to the original mask. Someone had gotten all the I love the fact that they had the theater with all the memorabilia from all the other movies, because that's a call into the whole serial killer thing. They had all those things. I love seeing all the callbacks and all the memorabilia to the old films, where they had all the different masks. They were leaving it at the crime scene. Now, I didn't mention this before, but there was a scene when I told you about the ladder sequence. So Quinn was actually killed in her room, and Ghostface basically just threw her on the floor. And then that's when everybody was trying to get up out of there. That's when Mindy got stabbed in the arm. Mindy's girlfriend got stabbed in the stomach where she was bleeding out. And then she wound up dying where she was on top of the ladder and she was too weak to go. And then Ghostface throws the knife into the thing and he's shaking the ladder. And then she falls over. She falls off the ladder and hits her face on the damn thing on the way. I said, bitch, that was the most gross. That was the gnarliest kill. I lived for that kill, but that was brutal. But the reveal of the 3 killers, this is how I knew who the killer was. So Dermot Mulroney, who was the cop, Detective Bailey, I knew he was the killer. You wanna know how I knew? There's a scene in the earlier part of the film where he's interrogating Tara and Sam. And Tara is like, he was like, where were you at the time of the situation? Because what's happening now is that someone had created this streaming thing. On Twitter, you know how like when people spread rumors about you and they're saying like, oh, she's the one that was out here lying and this idea, which is a call to kind of like where we are in our times now. So he basically was like, someone created this whole thread on social media saying that what happened was Sam actually was the one who did all the killings and framed Richie. So what happened in Scream 5 didn't really happen the way, that Sam said it happened. They're trying to say Richie was innocent and she was the damn killer because of who her father was, which wasn't the truth. So you had that one bitch who I was like, fuck that bitch up. But you can't be out here beating everybody else because you were proven right. She threw the soda on her. It's like, you know what you did. So people believe these lies and things online. So this is how I knew it was Detective Bailey. When she told him, when they got called into the precinct, and we first see Kirby, he was like, where were you? She was like, Tara was at a frat party where I went to go meet her after, but I was at my therapist. Now, how shortly after the therapist ended up dead, getting stabbed in the face, and then you steal her file? So I'm like, somebody within the precinct or whatever had to have that information. So only very few people would have known that. And he went and called Ghostface and probably had, because he got to be the detective. He can't be at the crime scene. So he had to call who the Ghostface was, and I'm about to tell y'all who it is in a minute, and be like, go there, get that file, kill the therapist, whatever. So I also know that it was Ethan, because Ethan was, they said in the beginning that it was like, oh, it's the shy, quiet kid. He was always disappearing when the shit was going down. So it was kind of like obvious that they were pointing to him. And but then of course then he had to try to switch it up, because when he was on the scene with the train, because he was on the train in the train car with Mindy, they were like, oh, it's impossible, he couldn't have stabbed her. So but then when they revealed that it was Quinn who was supposed to be dead, Quinn faked her death apparently. So Ethan was in the apartment dressed as Ghostface in the room, killed Quinn's boyfriend, was standing over Quinn while she's in the bed on the phone. The boyfriend, who's seeing Sam, is looking through the window because he probably just killed him or whatever and was trying to set this whole shit up. He's the one that faked, because I'm sure what he probably did was take all the blood from the boyfriend that was in the tub and put it all over his sister, because apparently they're related. So what it was that Detective Bailey, Quinn, and Ethan are actually related. Detective Bailey was the father, Quinn and Ethan were siblings. They apparently were siblings of Richie. So this was a callback to Scream 2, where, Debbie Salt, who turned out to be Billy Loomis's mother, took revenge on Sydney for killing her son in the first movie, which is a callback to Friday the 13th, because, Jason's mother killed everybody in part 1, then Jason all of a sudden comes back and kills, the final girl in part 2. So overall, I did like that. So I did not see the Quinn thing coming. The third act kind of fell off for me, but overall, the movie was a fun ride. I love the fact that it felt like, a slasher, was a murder mystery, the metamedia commentary, all the stuff that I love within the Scream thing. But here's the thing, and I love that it was a callback to Scream 2. We don't mention Scream 3 and the TV show were the weakest parts. But I have to say, if I was to rank these movies, it would be Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 6, Scream 4, Scream 5, and Scream 3 is all at the bottom. So if I was to go for best to worst, those are my choices. But overall, the movie's not perfect. Am I frozen? I feel like my camera went off. Hold on. I feel like it froze too. Hold on. What is happening? Can you see me? Why do you say I'm unable to access my camera? Oh, because oh my gosh, hold on. Can you do me a favor and play the clips for the Scream thing? Let me.
I'm gonna get you, bitch, and your shitty ass little haircut too.
No! No! I'm gonna call the fucking cops, and your ass is gonna get so busted, you're gonna get in so much trouble. Just leave me alone.
I'm not gonna leave you alone, cause I'm in here with you.
Ah! Like I won't bat you in your shit. Walk you like a dog, beat your ass till you piss. You
What the hell? Okay, that was funny. But yeah, so overall to wrap this up, because chat, I don't know what happened. My damn screen just started acting a fool. My camera just went off. Or whatever. But so overall, I enjoyed the movie. It was a lot of fun. I did miss Nev, but here's the thing. It's time to move the sequels on. As Mindy mentioned in the film, it's a franchise at this point, so you can't keep the same characters around forever. Scream 6 basically brought all the great elements of it. I really feel like what they really need to do, okay, if y'all gonna kill people off, y'all need to kill people off. Stop being so scared to kill people off in this franchise. Because that's what it felt like y'all was trying to do. Like, y'all was stabbing people. People who should have been dead weren't dead. I did love the kills, though, of, like, how they killed off Ethan with the knife in the mouth, and she twisted it, what Tara did. That was a gnarly kill. And then Kirby throwing a TV, which was a callback to Stu, on Ethan's head to kill him. Because, you know, they do play around with this whole situation of, you know, because it was like, the memorability. I don't remember exactly what the scene, what the line was, but she was like, "Well, is he dead?" Because there's been this online debate on whether or not Stu is alive or if he isn't. But he had a whole fat back TV thrown on top of his face. Who survives that? But it's left open for debate. Some people believe he's still alive. Some people think he's not alive. Apparently, they were going to bring Stu back in Scream 3, but then they had to scrap it because they were going to do this whole cult of Ghostface thing. And I think there was a mass shooting that happened around the time, so they scrapped that whole idea. So it'd be interesting to see where they go with Scream 7. And I'm definitely looking forward. I hope they keep it in New York because I like the whole idea of them changing from a small town to a big city. And we don't get a lot of those type of horror films in the big city where we get to see those things. So I really hope that we get a lot of that, more of that, because, you know, I love New York-based horror films. Not Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. That shit was trash. First of all, Jason has spent like 2 seconds in Manhattan. He spent most of his time on a goddamn boat. So that was some bullshit. But I do love Maniac. I do love Maniac Cop 1 and 2. Like, so there's plenty of New York-based horror films. Midnight Meat Train, which I believe was taking place in New York, but it wasn't shot in New York. But I think it was supposed to be New York. So we've had some pretty gnarly New York-based horror films. The Carnage Candy was at a 10. Do I think this movie was perfect? No, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. So if you get a chance, definitely go out and see it. This was something I wanted. I think I wanted to see it. I wanted to immediately see it again. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just wait until it comes out on demand, which will probably be next month. So it ain't gonna be that long before it's, you know, on TV. So let's move along, because I said I was going to do a damn 45-minute review, and here we are. But I don't think it really was that long. I think it's because there was so many things going on in videos and this and it looks like it's that. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Okay, so I did watch Chris Rock's special, Selective Outrage. I actually watched it today. I know a lot of people watched it right away and all this other stuff. I waited till today because I wanted to be fresh in my mind. And I don't think it was all that funny. I'm going to be honest. I did not think Chris Rock was that funny. I think he's a little too Hollywood. He had a couple of, I chuckled here and there, but for the most part, I didn't laugh most of the show. I didn't care about his daughter getting kicked out of a private school, the fact that they ski and stuff, like how, you know, his money and stuff is giving his kids a, oh, who gives a shit. He was saying, who gives a fuck about life? I didn't give a fuck about that damn topic. The Kardashians joke wasn't all that great. And he knew why a lot of people came to see the show. Then he was trying to do the joke about Caitlyn. That didn't work for me either. The Will Smith joke was the best part of the show. And I know everybody wants to talk about Shahada Noir, and suck my ass with all that bullshit. All this, you know, holier than thou, selective bull crap that a lot of y'all want to pull up in regards to that. I understood where he was going, because people were like, well, he shouldn't have brought up Jada. But he said Jada started with him, and then when he brought it up, I actually agree. She did start with him. She basically brought up, because this is around the time, and I forgot about this. This is around the time he did the movie Concussion, and he was overlooked, like most Black people have been lately. I got a story about Gina Prince-Bythewood, a follow-up. She's still speaking on the fact that, you know, the Woman King was pretty much snubbed. It was snubbed. So she went and so he said that, she said Chris Rock should not host the Oscars because her man didn't get a nomination. So you should just not do the special because we boycotting. But why you ain't boycott with this one? The Oscars from last year. Oh, because he got nominated. So to me, it's like that selective. So I got the whole idea with him saying selective outrage, because it is selective outrage. Oh, you mad because he didn't get nominated for the movie you wanted him to get nominated for, but now that he's nominated, all of a sudden your tune is changed and y'all gonna go to the Oscars. I call bullshit. But you know, a lot of these celebrities are full of shit. Anyway, so before I get into this topic, let's play these clips of you know, Chris Rock and all this other mess. And him not keeping...
Oh, wow! I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped. Got me rooting for Massa. Hit him again, Massa! Humble down. Hit him again! Nobody's picking on this bitch. She started the...
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
And April Jones, I can't wait to see you in the... Keep my wife's name out your motherfucking mouth. I said, keep my wife's name out your motherfucking mouth.
Threw it up in the air, it would turn into sunshine.
Child, and April always look like she don't know what to do with herself during that skit. But anyway, so according to several sources, Chris Rock Will Smith isn't taking what Chris Rock had to say all that well. With the quote or source telling ET, Will is embarrassed and hurt by what Chris said about him and his family in his Netflix special. He didn't watch it, but he had people tell him what Chris said. It's everywhere when you look online and on social media, so Will and Jada have seen comments about it. Now, Will apologized to Chris and would like for Chris to let it go, the source added. Will has worked on himself, but he is banned by the Oscars for 10 years. He feels like that's enough and wants Chris to move on. So that he and everyone else can too. Will is also upset that Netflix was a part of this and thinks Chris insulted Jada again is below the belt. He is upset that Netflix gave Chris the platform to share these messages and thinks it's distasteful. Though the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air actor still had a lot to say since he felt terrible for so long about smacking Chris at the Oscars, he's tried unsuccessfully to make amends in the best way he could with Chris. Okay. Now here's what I gotta say about that. Will, and anybody else out there, this I don't agree. Who wrote this bullshit ass article? Chris Rock still deserved to be slapped by Will Smith. Now that Chris Rock had his Bitch Latin Netflix sketch, it proved that people have been saying Chris Rock is always the root. Take this article and shove it up your ass, and I'm gonna tell you why. Here's the thing: what a lot of you motherfuckers y'all need to realize, you don't get to poke the bear and tell them how to react. You don't put your hands on somebody, regardless of what somebody says, and then tell them when to get over it. That's like somebody who was sexually assaulted. Oh, it happened 12 years ago. Get over it. That's not how the world works. You slapped the shit out this man in front of billions of people, and I say billions because it's watched around the world. But you want to dictate when somebody need to get over some shit because you feel bad? Fuck your feelings. Now, am I Team Chris all the way? No, I'm not. He's not innocent in this either. But I'm talking about, this is a place, look, the stand-up stage is Chris's safe space where he feels the need that he could talk about whatever happened to him. And you was dumb enough to slap a comedian. So when you think he's going to take his fight to the stage where Netflix is going to pay him a shit ton of money to talk shit about you and his experience, which is what people tuned in for. And Netflix knew this. This is why I said, pay me for my pain. You put your hands on me and I'm a comedian, I'm definitely using that in my bit. And I'm going off. It's like I tell people, you cannot poke the bear and tell it how to attack you. That's not how the world works. When you say and do shit, you suffer the consequences. So it irks my spirit when people go around saying, oh, get over it. Let somebody slap the shit out of you and let's see how fast you get over that. Because it's funny how a lot of people say things, what people should do until it happens to them. And like I said before, Chris ain't no innocent in this. There have been many times that he says certain things. There was people saying like, oh, but he was saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene, he always going after black women. How do you know what the fuck he was saying about? Why are we even bringing that ugly bitch in the conversation? Why is Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, y'all want to bring that, Beast from Beauty and the Beast looking bitch into the conversation? Y'all always try to call Chris Rock a coon or this, that, and the third because he's always insulting black women. Like certain groups of people are exempt from being dragged or cussed out or whatever. Jada and her weird ass relationship with her husband have been the ones that love bringing their personal business out into the world, and then y'all want to get mad because people making fun of y'all because y'all relationship is not the conventional relationship. Because we all know when it comes to black people and relationships, it's got to be kitchen table talk. We got to keep that stuff under wraps. We can't bring that out into the open and the forefront. We don't spill tea and all this other stuff. We don't bring those things up. TJ Jackson, remember when he dragged his aunt last week? Well, this week, the brother Taj dragged Chris Rock for bringing up Michael Jackson. Now, I will say this. I did not like the joke that he made about Michael Jackson trying to basically say that y'all drag R. Kelly, but y'all want to defend Michael Jackson in so many ways. Apples and oranges. That whole situation with Michael Jackson and that whole molestation situation is not the same as R. Kelly. There's no videos of Michael Jackson pissing on little kids, having sex with little kids. There's no evidence of that. We got evidence of R. Kelly, and y'all look the other way for decades. So for him to try to lump sum both of them into that situation didn't sit right with me. But he told a little joke, and that was it. Child Samoa's comedy special was funnier than Chris Rock. And I definitely need to see the one with Marlon Wayans? Marlon Wayans did a recent stand-up special. But I think he brings up the whole Chris Rock slap with Will Smith and whatever. And I heard it was a really good stand-up special. So I need to check that one out. There's a lot of good stand-up specials coming out. So yeah, to wrap up that other one, it's like I said, the stage for a comic is a safe space for them to air out their grievances, and if that's the one place he felt comfortable enough to tell his jokes at your expense and get paid millions to do it, then you're just gonna have to deal with the slap repercussions a little longer until he gets it out of his system. And Chris also doesn't have to accept your apology no matter how many times you apologize. So Taj said this bullshit. Chris Rock has used my family as punching bags for his entire career, yet I'm supposed to feel bad for him getting slapped and humiliated at the Oscars. Nobody asked you to. First of all, was nobody thinking about you damn tired ass Jackson. Y'all still trying to dick ride off your uncle. I've been saying that for years. Nobody cared about y'all when y'all was in the 3 T's, and now you're going to do that. And I wish y'all had the same damn energy when people talking about your uncle as your brother talked about your damn aunt last week. After seeing a new clip of him attacking my dead uncle in the first minutes of his retaliation I'm Still Relevant special, I have 3 things to say. 1, what did my family ever do to warrant these decades of harassment and your constant bullying disguised as jokes? 2, just because you were bullied early on in life doesn't give you the right to bully others. Number 3, thank you, Will Smith. Here's the thing. When you are a public figure, The dragation comes with the territory. It's open season. Why do y'all think y'all get all the money, the privileges, all this other stuff, but you exempt from the smoke? Unfortunately, that's the name of the game. That's the way the world works. It's not right. It's not fair. But look, you get to live in y'all little gated communities with all the money in the stand and third. If you don't want to be dragged, or family members don't want to be dragged over shit that y'all accused of, and comedians want to make jokes about it, then go become a librarian or somebody that works not in the industry or a part of the industry. I hate how celebrities just think that they're exempt from anything. You're not supposed to say nothing about nobody. Well, shit, what the fuck would I have to do if I can't talk about you? But I see all the sides. I get it. But yeah. Now, if Will Smith would have checked Chris in another way, I'd be on Will's side. Like, yeah, leave them people alone. But you put hands on somebody, which, you know, we always talk about, like, was Will not raised right? There's been many people who have said many things about you and your damn family. Called you corny, called you all kinds of stuff for years. You ain't said nothing, but you pick on Chris Rock. Because Chris Rock literally looked like the boy that wouldn't fight back. So it was kind of like a bully mentality. We all know Will Smith was like 6'something, 6'2", 6'4". Chris Rock probably like 5'6". I seen him in person, he ain't that tall. So anyway, let's move on because I'm tired of talking about these motherfuckers. All right, so let's get into this drag race story, and then wait. What's the story that I was supposed to do? Okay, no, let's get to this story. Let's talk about Yuck Mouth, and when I talk about Yuck Mouth, because we talk about comedians, let's talk about Sampson McCormick, that tight ass faggot. So this bitch went on somebody's show and decided to give his stupid ass opinion on pronouns and trans people and got dragged by Hope Gizelle. Now, for those of you who don't know who Hope Gizelle is, she is an activist and a talk show host. She recently did an interview that I posted on my website not so long ago with Todrick Hall. Say what you want about Todrick, but she definitely humanized him in that damn episode. It was 90 minutes. I actually liked what I got out of it. I know I've said bad things about Todrick, but you know, when you write, meaning I will give you your props when need be. So he went and said some bullshit about some they them pronoun, telling that people need to put effort into, if you're going to be non-binary, this and other, you need to put a little more effort into it. I believe we have the clips of what he said, correct? Because, you know, we had this little hot topics meeting before the show. So I was going to make sure. Hello. What is happening? Are you there? What's going on? Oh, I answering. Oh, thank you. She on a delay, child. Okay, let's roll them clips, please. So, for context, because I did not write this article, so I want y'all to have a little more context with this story. So, let's get to that.
I'm supposed to know.
and the pronouns, as someone who's not a part of the community, they scare me because I want to be respectful and I want to get it right, but I'm so confused and I still have a hard time with the word queer because I missed when it was okay. So I mean, you just get so frightened because you wanna get it right because you want to respect this community. So thanks for a little bit of honesty and transparency on that, because they can be confusing from the outside.
It's a lot, we want to get it right, but this stuff is new. Mm-hmm. So leave room for people to ask questions without biting their head off because people can't look at you and tell what you are.
That's right.
So yeah, I do agree with one part where did we even play the clip of what he said that was so controversial? Because I don't even think we played it. But first of all, he went on Fox Soul. We already know how some of them people think over there. Because I've watched Cocktails with Queens at times, and they say some dumb shit that I want to slap the shit out of them. Does that make me misogynistic? Fuck out of here with that. Any little thing you say about certain people, y'all want to call it misogynistic or it's this or it's that. No, when you are saying something dumb, you're going to get checked. I don't care who the fuck you are and what your gender is or your race is. You say some dumb shit, you're going to get called out. But anyway, so yeah, he was saying put some effort into the pronouns and this, that, and third. We'll get to the Hope Gizelle one in a minute because I didn't set this up. So I know a lot of people say, I didn't know when queer was going to be okay. Queer has been a word that we've been using. I use it a lot on this show. It's been a word that I use all the time. I know there was a friend of mine who say he didn't like the word queer because I'm like, queer basically means unique, different. And there's nothing wrong with us as a community being different. But a lot of y'all want to fit in and water yourselves down and don't want to be yourselves. So you dilute your light because you want to be whatever. So when he said that, and this is what I'm irritated by. If a lot of you people out here really want to learn stuff, and really want to learn from the community and respect the community, as this lady said, then stop going to people who don't even have it all together themselves. There are plenty of people out here that you could have hit up. You could have hit up Laverne Cox. You can hit up T.S. Madison. You can hit up, Hope Gizelle. You can hit up Angelica Ross. You can hit up so many of these other non-binary trans people who can educate you. Stop going to these cisgender black queens who looking for a moment and thinking that they are a spokesperson for our community, because they're not. You're looking for a moment. You're not even thinking about the community. It's just like, you need to find these level-headed people that you can bring on. They look, because it's like, I see what it is. It's a narrative y'all are trying to sell to a certain audience who watches your show. Y'all want to play like y'all respecting or respectful of our situation, but you're really not. So y'all think when y'all bring certain faggots into the situation, what happens is, oh, well, this is what he says, so then that's the way the community is. Like, we all a monolith. We all think like that one person that y'all want to put on TV, because a lot of these people that are watching in Cupcake, Idaho and West Bubblefuck, Mississippi don't know nobody like these queens and these trans and these non-binaries in real life. So let's get to this Hope Gizelle clip, because she basically scalped his unfunny ass. Roll that clip. We'll get to that clip today.
You ain't even really a comedian no more, let alone worthy of these people paying you any attention. But you go out of your way to remind them that you're one of the good ones because you can talk shit about transgender people. Or because you agree with them that the trannies are the weird people. You agree with their stance on the fact that we are just doing too much and requesting too much and all of the things. And it just doesn't make sense. Now, let me say this. A lot of y'all are like, what are you talking about, Hope? What did he do this time? Well, I'll fill y'all in. There was a show on Fox Soul, don't really care which one because most of them are trash and transphobia is their motto, right? Regardless of whatever opportunity they gave T.S. Madison, a large part of that network is fueled by hatred for marginalized people, and one of those marginalized group that they are fueled by are transgender people, and that's just what it is, regardless of what they've done for some of us. Netflix is the same place that has Dave Chappelle and Sense8, so let's not act as if they can't do both, okay? But when it comes down to it, he's gonna take the route to tell a story, right? You took the route to tell a story that seemed vaguely familiar, which makes me feel like it was fake. And then number two, you told that story with what felt like the intention to have a punchline. This was not your moment to sell yourself as a comedian at the expense of your transgender and gender nonconforming family. This was not the moment for you to get your ass on national motherfucking television and be like, yeah, they some weird ass motherfuckers. I don't get it, bitch. If you look like a nigga, you a nigga. Like, this wasn't the moment for that. Right plan, wrong motherfucking audience. And that's the thing that y'all don't don't understand. When you willfully go into a space and arm people who already have ideas, thoughts, suggestions, all of these things about who we are, how we are, and are usually misinformed about our lives, what ends up happening is that those people take your word as a gay man because a gay man said it, and they use it as ammunition to come back and do harm to people like myself, like my sisters, like my sibling. He goes on to this show, he gives this interview, and at some point in the interview, they ask him about the pronouns. Now, what should have been the answer, what could have been the answer, and what we all know would have been the safer and respectful bet, considering that you have a history of being transphobic and being called transphobic, would have been to say, as a gay man, sometimes I don't even get the pronouns. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that maybe we got to work through, and I'm doing my best and my due diligence to be better about understanding it, but I don't always get it. You know what I'm saying? But no. Instead of doing that, instead of taking the high road, instead of saying that and alleviating and making space for there to be educational conversation and maybe platforming somebody to come and really give them, platforming a non-binary person to come and let them know that pronouns have been around since way before we were having this conversation. Platforming a trans man to come and explain that. Platforming a trans woman to come and explain those things. You decide that you're going to take...
Mm-hmm. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Oh, I was hoping that we was going to get to this too, because I was going to ask. I was like, do we have the post? I don't know. It's real tiny. I don't know if people can see it. But yeah, so he said that, you have to allow people, because remember, he said it. He said you need to allow people to be able to make the mistakes and have room to grow and this, that, and the third. And look, this right where you see on the screen, there were opportunities where people were going in and they were trying to educate him. He was falling on his, I'm going to stick with my own convictions. I'm still going to believe what I want to believe regardless. So you clearly were not there to want to learn, listen, learn, and educate yourself and evolve. You already had your thoughts, your overall thoughts, and that was that. And that's what you wanted to stick to, which is what you should do. And this is why I said there are many opportunities where if these people over at Fox Soul really wanted to educate themselves and have someone come in who's gonna be able to educate them and open their eyes and their minds and everything to things, then they could have brought people on who they know, because I'm sure you see many of shows where some of these people have already been on, and where they go and they educate people, open people's minds to what it's like to be trans, what it's like to be non-binary, what are the new pronouns, and the third. I live in myself as a cis gay man, and I don't like using pronouns, but we on this show, I'm gonna use it for this context. I like to, I'm not always gonna get it right either. Sometimes I don't even get it, where every other week y'all got a whole new acronym y'all want to add to the LGBT LMNOP. I just found out not too long ago what a side is. I thought it was a side piece, like you on the side, or like Ariana Grande, nigga so big he got you walking side to side. But no, a side is somebody who doesn't like being penetrated. I learned that from Carrie Colby, actually. Shout out to her. So I'm like, you learn something new every day. I'm always willing to open my mouth, but I'm like, I'm always a little resistant. I'm like, goddamn, another thing I got to learn about our community. But you know what? And as we being honest, because we all think it, a lot of y'all just won't say it because y'all want to present this certain narrative about our community, that we're all monolith, we're perfect in every way. We ain't Mary fucking Poppins. Because if we was, this motherfucker wouldn't be saying the shit he's saying on, of all places, Fox Soul, because they willing to give your unfunny ass a platform. The one place they gave your dry, fucked up teeth look like the nigga been chewing on rocks. That's the one place they gave your ass a goddamn platform. I wonder if he sucked on that glass pipe, allegedly. The meth. She a Methodist? She gives that with that face. But anyway, so I wanted to say, look, there was this thing I saw earlier today, but I felt like it resonated with me. But hope Gizelle said everything I needed to say. So if you're really willing to open your mind and listen and learn, there's a place for that. But I don't feel like he was given that in his thing on the show. And then when people try to educate him, he was in his little feelings about it and was like, these people don't affect me. And of all places, to push his narrative even further, he went on that half a woman don't know who the hell she want to be every day. You know, that gender flip-flop of Flame Monroe, where on that bitch's Instagram live to talk all that shit, because that's where everybody go. When people want to continue to push their narrative of ignorance, Flame Monroe's the one everybody run to. That bigoted bitch. She don't know if she want to be a woman, a man, or a fucking cactus. Anyway, so this one thing resonated with me, and I was like, I think I saw on A Connection TV, and it said, it's interesting how a lot of gay people fail to understand trans people like a lot of straight people fail to understand gay people. And I was like, nail hit perfectly on head, because y'all want straight people to not interfere with you and worry about your rights and this, that, and the third, and you get all in your feelings when straight people discriminate against the LGBTQ community or the gay community, because the gays don't, a lot of y'all gays don't care about the trans community. Even though if it wasn't for the trans community, you wouldn't be where y'all are today. You wouldn't have the rights that you have, because they was the ones out there marching. When Stonewall riots happened, who you think was out in the forefront? Not closeted homosexuals, not these masculine men y'all want to embody. It was drag queens, lesbians, and trans women. That's what was out there. And the flaming girls, you know, the butch queens, they was out there fighting. Throwing bricks for days, busting up cars, windows, and all that mess like they was channeling Jasmine Sullivan. Whew, child. But yeah, this episode took me. It's a lot of energy I'm burning in this episode. But you know what? But as I said, it's like y'all want respect and love and all this other stuff when it comes to the straight people at the gays, but you can't give that same grace to the trans community. So I don't get it. So shout out to Hope Gizelle and fuck you, Sampson. All right, so let's move on, because I'm tired of talking about that queen. So speaking of discriminations and things, because we're going to do 2 more topics and we're going to go to break. I don't know if y'all know this, but drag is currently under attack in good old Merc. So last week, Bill Lee, you know, who likes dressing in drag, or dressed to drag back in the Disney, signed a bill prohibiting drag queens from performing in public spaces. Now, the new law will impose fines and even jail time on performers and organizers who defy the recent bill. The governor, of course, is facing backlash over his decision, and even pictures have recently resurfaced of Bill Lee appearing in drag, as I mentioned earlier. That is on my page, my Facebook page. Well, not my page, it's on my website. What am I talking about? ChrisAvalon.com. I did the whole article. The pictures up there if you haven't seen it. Now, over the weekend, last weekend, because, you know, I was like, now that I got a little political last week's episode, I said, you know, I'm going to continue to bring the politics into the show. Especially when it affects us. And the gays and the drag queens are under attack. Now, last weekend, fans of Drag Race took to social media and expressed their outrage over the bill, and a lot of the Drag Race girls have also spoken out. Now, Silky Nutmeg Ganache called out the so-called straight allies who frequent queer nightclub spaces over their silence. She did a TikTok on that and was like, you know what? I don't say nothing when y'all come up in the meet and greets and y'all be spilling your drinks and you do that, that, and the other, and y'all be heckling and doing all this other foolishness when y'all in their establishment. But now when it comes to us being under attack, y'all love the drag queens when they up there, you know, being pigs in a wig, as Lady Bunny and Bianca Del Rio was saying. But when it comes to now, season 9 winner Bob the Drag Queen also took to Twitter to ask drag fans to put that same energy into fighting anti-trans and anti-drag legislation as they do into getting Real Friends of WeHo canceled and getting extended episodes of Drag Race reinstated. Which, sidebar, we back to the 90-minute episodes. That last night's episode was everything, especially that lip sync battle between Anitra and Marsha 3 times. You know, Marsha. I call her Marsha 3 times. But yeah, when they did Boss Bitch by Doja Cat, bitch, it gave me my life. But anyway, so that one queen who goes by Babayana, by the way, wrote, if you watch Drag Race, Pose, Legendary, Dragula, etc., you need to make your choice heard. These anti-trans, anti-drag bills are actually starting to make their way through. And after that have taken down, after they have, I think that's what she meant, have taken down trans and non-binary people, gay boys, you're next. Trust and believe. Yeah, we're seeing it happening. Like there's a law. Didn't they just pass one in I think it was in Tennessee still. Or it might have been one of them damn Bible Belt states where they have people who work in the law offices who can literally, if you work in the law office and you're someone who is of interracial, like if you're a black man wanting to marry a white woman and vice versa, or if you're a queer person who wants to get married in your state of Tennessee, yeah, that fucking place, they can deny you getting a marriage certificate because it's against their personal beliefs. So this is the shit that they're passing currently in our country. So I want to play you these clips and everything, and then when we come back, I'll read you some more of the tweets, and then we'll get to RuPaul's response and all that good stuff. So, roll the clip. Unless that is.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed a bill banning drag performances from public places and in non-age restricted areas. For Eureka, a drag performer from East Tennessee, this legislation is disheartening.
You know, honestly, I mean, I think the drag community feels very vulnerable in general just because of the attacks that we've received in the past, not just legislation, but also, you know, we've had some really traumatic moments happen in nightclubs recently.
I gave a speech this last week that went viral on TikTok and Twitter and all these fucking platforms I don't have. And a lot of people are decrying that it is a call for violence. It is not. I'm telling you, y'all, I am not calling to arms, I am calling to action. Please, tell them that we have to take care of this now, because if they don't, they leave us with only one option. They get the bricks. They go all the way back to fucking Stonewall and had the brick is not a weapon. It is a fucking holy symbol. That's right. It is a divine focus through which I call upon the names of Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and Stormy DeLarveray and all the other nameless queers at Stonewall who fought for our liberation.
Hey, look over there. A classic distraction technique, distracting us away from the real issues that they were voted into office to focus on. Jobs, healthcare, keeping our children safe from harm at their own school. But we know that bullies are incompetent at solving real issues. They look for easy targets so they can give the impression of being effective. They think our love, our light, our laughter, and our joy are signs of weakness, but they're wrong. Because that is our strength. Drag queens are the Marines of the queer movement. Don't get it twisted and don't be distracted. Register to vote so we can get these stunt queens out of office and put some smart people with real solutions into government. And by the way, a social media post has never been as powerful as a registered vote.
Agreed. And you know, this is exactly why I do what I do. And I'm so glad that I have the platform that I have to spread the word that so many others are not going to do. You see all these little queens on social media, but I'm not going to worry about y'all. I'm going to do my show the way I want to do it. Like, not everybody has the ability and has the power and the influence to want to get up and be an activist and all that other stuff. I've always had it in me. I've always been somebody who has been the voice for the voiceless, that has always spoken up against discrimination and shit. I used to fight bullies because I didn't like how they would pick on other people, so I would fight them. Like, that's always sort of been my situation, because I cannot stand people getting picked on. So I don't want to go up to you and punch you in your fucking face. Fight me, motherfucker. That's how I've always been. So even if you're not somebody who wants to go out and channel your inner Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and throw the brick inside, some buildings and turn over some police cars and willing to get arrested. There's so many other ways that you can go out and show your activism and show your pride. We show up for pride this season. We let our voices be heard. Like, you cannot shut us the F up. We're going to be vigilant. We're gonna march. Yeah, I'm channeling Debbie from Queer Folk. We're gonna march, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna act up and all that. You know how they always get. But you know, we're gonna show our approach to other ways. Get out there and vote. Also, use your social media platforms to spread word. And that's what I've been doing throughout the week. Anything about drag queens and the hypocrisy of our nation and all these distractions and really trying to inform people and stuff, that's what I've been using my platform for this entire week. And that's what will continue to use this show for. Now, I'm glad that RuPaul spoke up. You know, if y'all want to read all the other tweets and this and the, like from Jinx Monsoon and Ben de la Creme and Jackie Cox and Ginger Minge and Marty Gould Cummings. Well, I want to get to this one though. You can definitely go over to my website, chrisavalon.com, and check out those tweets and those posts. But Marty Gould Cummings, because it's funny how like we played the RuPaul video. Marty Gould Cummings, who y'all probably don't know, might not be familiar with the name. But if you're a person within the New York community, y'all know who Marty Gould Cummings is. Marty Gould Cummings is a prominent drag queen, someone who is very politically active, and has always been for years. Never been on Drag Race, but that still don't mean like she's not somebody who is well known within our community. She basically called RuPaul out on her silence and said this: now is the time for RuPaul, every past judge, corporations to speak up against the legislation sweeping our nation against trans youth and drag artists. The suicide rate for queer youth is disproportionately higher than their peers, and we need to speak up for them now. This is what she said on March 5th before Ru came out and spoke on, I think it was it Wednesday or Thursday? So he basically said something. So that's why she brought it up. And then Ru came out and said something. Now the question is, and I present this to you all as well. You can leave it in the comments. Is Ru obligated to speak out on such situations because she's on Drag Race, big platform, all that stuff? Because I heard some people say, yeah, she should speak out. Then there's some people who's like, why should she have to speak out? Like, not everybody is the political queen, this, that, and the other. That's true if Ru has never been somebody who has been very politically active throughout her career, which she was back in the day. And she has made and Drag Race has been used in so many ways as a political situation. When they did the Rusical of Donald Trump, remember the one season they did where they were trying to get people to go out and vote? They've had Nancy Pelosi appear on the show. So when you have incorporated political things into Drag Race, it would behoove you to use that show or to use yourself to speak out in these situations. So yes, while I don't give a fuck if Ru speaks out or not, because I know the tea. I'm not saying of RuPaul personally, but I know in regards of like, I don't need a RuPaul to validate me in any old way. But for the nation, for the mainstream, for those of you who salivate at every word that come out of RuPaul's mouth and live by the Bible that is Drag Race, I do feel that he should speak out. And he did. I know some people felt like it wasn't enough and called the military, or what they call it, the militant of drag, or the what was it? The Marines of drag? That's what it was. Production, you messy for that. It was like, she doing a little too much with that. But I was like, well, you know, she's a drag queen. They got a flair for the dramatic. What else you want her to say? We the court justice? We the we the clowns in a wig. So I was like, Ru had to be all dramatic with the words, but I get it, because there are drag queens who have been out there who were in their geesh and they would be out there protesting, willing to get arrested, all that other stuff. So there's some girls who's not afraid of it. And so I'm glad that Ru spoke out. I'm glad a lot of the girls have spoken out. I'm glad Eureka O'Hara, who's from Tennessee, spoke out. Or Mayari, who was on this current season of Drag Race, she's from Chicago, but she resides now in Tennessee. She's speaking out. So yeah, there are drag queens who currently live in Tennessee whose jobs are being affected. These people are not hurting anybody. They're not all trying to read the kids. Quiet as it's kept. There's a lot of gays that don't even like children. Don't want kids, regardless of what people may tell you. I know it, because you see all these certain things on TV, you think it's the law, but it's not. A lot of people don't care about these damn children. But then if people are reading the kids and not dealing with your children and not molesting them. Then we have a recent politician that got busted DMing some young boy or whatever, or writing in the comments about some 21-year-old. And then his publicist or a man, somebody within his thing was like, oh, well, he's giving somebody a compliment. We know what that is. That's y'all PG version of the tapping under the damn bathroom stall. So these hypocritical Republicans, they do all kinds of shit. Mind you, I ain't never heard a drag queen molest nobody's child, but you hear about these church youth pastors, priests, people within the religious community molesting these children. Bunch of damn sicko pedophiles hiding within the church. Politicians out here can't stand gays and want to eliminate trans and drag queens, but y'all secretly married. Well, y'all married, but secretly having sex with young men behind your wife's back. So we're going to just continue to call them out with the hypocrisy. But before we take this break, because we have been going in and letting like this has been a crazy show today. It's just been all over the place, but I'm here for I like the craziness. I want to give a shout out to Lizzo, who has had it officially over all the anti-trans hate as of late and believes the complicit silence is rooted in racism. Now, shout out to Uprocks for this story. Now, Lizzo has used her platform, as we know, over the years to bring attention to several social issues, both in her music and in social media, from racism, women's rights, and fat phobia. The Grammy Award winner has even received suggestions to run for political office in the future for music legend Stevie Nicks. Now, I don't think everybody need to run for office, but I do like the fact that we have celebrities out here who use their platforms to spread the political word. So that to me is much easier than having to deal with the bullshit and politics of politics. Now, in Tennessee, elected officials passed two pieces of anti-LGBTQIA+ bills, Senate Bill 3 and House Bill 9, that effectively bans all drag performances from taking place on any public property in the state. Across the country, several other states are looking to overturn pro-LGBTQIA+ bills directly related to transgender people, and Lizzo has had enough. The singer took to Twitter to share her thoughts on the matter on an epic rant. The musician opened a series of tweets on March 8th by writing, "Transphobia is looking real rooted in racism right about now." She also continued the message with, "I've never heard a person say why they're racist or fatphobic. I've never heard a reason why someone is transphobic. I think if we knew why these people felt this way, there would be way less support for these ideals because the why is more insidious than we realize." Mm-hmm. It's like, why is it that you don't like these people? They don't do nothing to you. They're not, embarking on your personal space. There are people out here who are literally just trying to live their lives in their own authentic way. They just want to be themselves. And I think what the root is, maybe they're mad because they're upset. Maybe they're upset because these, trans people who are openly, the flaming gay men, people who are considered unconventional, are willing to live their lives as they see fit. They're not afraid to live in their truth. They're being their authentic self. And a lot of y'all can't take it. Y'all don't like it. So let me discriminate against these people because they have the balls, no pun intended, to be who they want to be, and I don't. So I want you to feel as bad as I do because I don't have the balls to be myself, but you do, so I'm going to pick on you. The math ain't math. I just don't understand people who just go around in life just hating on other people for living their best life. I don't. If you're not bothering me, I don't care what you do. As long as you're not hurting nobody, I don't give a fuck what you do. So I don't understand why people concern themselves so much with in that concept, in that context. I mean. So then Lizzo also said, don't get it twisted. I don't care why people are bigoted. That's a waste of my imagination. I feel like there's a lot of complicit silence and apathetic participation going on that wouldn't fly if people do more. So this is definitely something that there's a lot to unpack in this thing. And this is why I live for people like Lizzo, someone who has a huge platform that's not afraid to speak out and be a voice for the voiceless. And I fell in love with her even because I'll admit, in the beginning, I wasn't really that big of a Lizzo fan. Like, I liked a couple of her songs, but what really drew me into liking her even more was her HBO documentary. That's where I grew to love her. So shout out to Lizzo. I live for everything you do. I live for everything you're about. And I love the fact that you're just not, that you're willing to go against the grain and speak out, and you don't give a damn who is pissed off about it. So shout out, sister. Let's take this quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Pedro Pascal, who also got a lot to say against these, who's calling out the homophobes. We're going to talk about Porsha Williams going after Tamron Hall, and then we're going to wrap it up with this Oscar talk, because the Oscars is tomorrow. Well, technically today, because now it's after midnight. It's daylight savings time, so we're about to lose an hour in a couple of hours. So we got, some Oscar talk, because apparently Michelle Yeoh, they're saying, broke some Oscar rule 24 hours before the damn Oscars about to air. And Gina Prince-Bythewood is going in on the Oscars for overlooking The Woman King. So we're going to talk about all that and a whole lot more. So don't go away. We'll be right back with more of the Chris Avalon Show. So, Chris Avalon. That's the Chris Avalon Show. Remember that show? So we're on all the other internet platforms. We'll be back with the rundown. But enjoy these little shady ass commercials in between. Okay. Ciao.
Do you think drag queens are a danger to kids?
Yes and no. I believe, hold on, let me speak, bro. Hold on. I believe that, everybody gonna do what they want to do, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't be in a kid's face every day like it's been lately. So to each his own.
Do you think drag queens are a danger to kids?
if you try to push it on them, it is.
Do you think drag queens are a danger to kids?
Yeah, I think they are.
Okay, how?
Honestly, I would think it's just a little confusing because we all copy what we see, you know? So, I mean, as a man watching that, I would think that would be an influence on me, yeah.
Do you think drag queens are a danger to kids?
Rant time. The people who are creating such legislations can go f themselves. This country's going back 30 years, 40 years, even longer. Who knows? The real danger is some people. But yeah, it's definitely not drag queens.
You own everything.
Even though people say you're too radical, I'm too radical for certain spaces. I don't get all the bookings I probably could get. I'm not associated with all the brands and companies I could be associated with because of my mouth. But what I know is can't nobody pay me for that.
Hi, Erica.
Hi.
How are you today?
Great.
Did you hear about Tom Girardi getting charged with wire fraud?
I did.
He's facing years in prison, 20 years I heard. What's your reaction to that?
You know, I have something to say.
Yeah, please.
Hey, sexy. What's up? Come here. What the fuck is you doing? Oh, man, move, bro. Goddamn, don't fucking handle me like that, bro. Fucking lost your mind.
Nobody sent me here.
How do you know where I live?
It's me.
It's your That's so funny. The way it's like, I don't know, but maybe it's like.
Forgot what show I was doing. Hi, we're back. Oh, so is that how the Paris ballroom scene gets down? It was giving Panera bread. Now let's move on to the next topic. Welcome back to the show, y'all. That was all a chop. I mean, let's be clear. I don't know what kind of dip she was doing. Maybe you was doing what RuPaul likes to call a shablam. Oh, speaking of which, y'all know what I was hearing was that the girls was tight over the little voguing session that they was doing over on Drag Race last night, calling it cultural appropriation. Is it really cultural appropriation? Look, everybody knows that shit was tailor-made for Anitra, because Anitra be giving, like, she be voguing hours down. And we all know she does a little duck walk, she does her dip, she does all that other stuff. So that pretty much was set up for Anitra. You know, these producers, they try to produce this show, steer it in a way because they have their little favorites and they try to steer the show. And like, it's a lot of irritations that Drag Race is giving me when it comes to the production. So I clearly see what it was with that. So, but the girls is mad. They talking about they was giving no in. And it's cultural appropriation. I was like, child, they were doing voguing shit on RuPaul Drag Race for since for over a decade. Now y'all want to call it cultural appropriation? I'm over it. I didn't mind it. As someone who was raised in ballroom and grew up around the whole ballroom scene, I never walked, I didn't do any of that, but I have a lot of ballroom friends. I have, people within that community. So, I know they probably looked at it as Nogan, but I didn't mind it. I'm like, child, it's TV. Can y'all bring Legendary back and put it on another network? That's what I want. So anyway, let's get to the show. So, hot actor and all-around daddy and my husband, Pedro Pascal. Yes, I'm about to marry Pedro. He don't know it yet, but we get married, child. Doesn't have time for the media's homophobic questions regarding The Last of Us. Now, shout out to LGBTQ Nation for this story. Pascal, who co-stars alongside Bella Ramsey as grizzled father figure Joel, made it known that he has no time for anyone who questions whether these stories belong on The Last of Us. Now, the idiots over at TMZ, you know how I feel about TMZ. I can't stand that fucking network. Harvey closeted ass. Is he out the closet? Or she's still, hating on the gays, but you the main one. Look at that man, that fine specimen. So some bitch asked when he was getting out of his car, because he was in West Hollywood, and she attempted to grill him about the show's LGBTQ plus storyline. She was like, can I ask, what do you say to the people who don't want to see the LGBT character love stories? Why am I still I'm from New York? Well, I am from New York. What I'm trying to do a white lady New York accent. Anyway. So basically, she asked them, what do you say to people who don't want to see LGBT character love stories? He said they do, as he was walking away. Now, despite the attempt not to engage with the online anti-LGBTQ chatter, the camera person persists, because that's what they do over at TMZ. When Pascal returns later, asking why it's so important for LGBTQ plus characters to be featured on TV shows. And he said, I think you're asking the question because you know why it's important. Why it's so important. And she goes, can you tell me why? You should know why. That's what he basically said before he got in his car and ended the interaction. And what I have to say was his response was the best response, because he's like, I'm not taking the bait. I'm not playing into the bullshit of dabbing into the thing. I wasn't sure we had the clip. I forgot. We can still play it, even though I read it. But then I'll read you the tweets of the people who was Team Pascal after this. Y'all should have been Team Pascal from the beginning. It shouldn't have to take y'all to this point for y'all to come on board, but here we are. So let's play the clip, and we'll come back and I'll read you the tweets. Roll the clip.
Can I ask, what do you say to the people that don't want to see the LGBT character love stories?
They do.
Can I just ask you real quick, why is it so important to have LGBTQ plus characters on TV shows?
I think you're asking the question because you know why it's so important.
Can you tell me why?
You should know.
Y'all are a mess. I love this damn man. He is just too funny. I forgot that he did an episode of, remember the MTV show Undressed back in the day? He's been around. He also was in an episode of Buffy. Like, Pedro has been around for a long time. A lot of these actors who y'all started to see finally hit it off, they've been acting for a long time. His peak came later in life. He's, I believe, 47 in real life, but still look good. That's my Chilean husband. So, one person wrote, he's so effing iconic. Another person wrote, this shows you how he truly is a lovely guy. Didn't lose his temper at all when he probably felt like telling her where to go. Another person wrote, he is so cool. Another talk about he is polite and kind and always, even if he is clearly they said he, but it was a she, because if a guy got a high ass voice, if you probably are a queen and you should definitely know the answer. This is Harvey out there sending them damn TMZ people to troll because she a damn troll. A 4'9" troll, but nevertheless a troll. I should also point out that Pascal has a trans sister. So he is an ally within I don't know if he's gay in real life. We don't talk about his personal life. I don't know if he's married, none of that stuff. I mean, he's married to me. But other than that, made a mess. He has a trans sister. So, of course, he's an ally within the community. But, and then another thing that he posted on his page, on his Instagram the other day, which got everybody buzzing on Sunday, he posted photos of the Progress Pride and Transgender Pride flags on his Instagram, and with the response, "The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind," which was I think a Bob Dylan quote, and I think that was equating to the question from TMZ. Now, the whole thing is stemming from the fact that people have a problem with queer characters being seen on The Last of Us. We want so y'all want to sit and watch a bunch of zombies getting stabbed, which that shit gets boring after a while. If y'all want to see that shit, go watch the tight ass Walking Dead. Y'all got like 12,000 seasons of that foolishness. I stopped watching after Negan's stupid ass came on and started killing off all the main characters. And y'all thought y'all was really doing a service to the community, but the fans said, fuck y'all, and I'm out. And y'all saw y'all ratings dwindle ever since then. But not enough for y'all to finally cancel the shit until like 6-7 seasons later. Or was it 3 or 4? I don't remember. I don't care. But anyway, so The Last of Us, we had Bill and Frank, the gay couple, which they're in the video game. But people were mad because the show decided to expand on their backstory. So we got to see the men kiss and in the bed together, and this real relationship blossom. And people was at home mad over it. So we're not allowed to be represented. So since this bitch needs an answer, let me tell you what the answer is. Why it's so important. Because we barely are visible on TV screens. We're barely in the movies. We get a lot more visibility in TV than we do in the cinema. So we need that visibility. We need that, people who are marginalized, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, all people want to do is see themselves represented on TV. So it's like, you know what? I see myself in that person. The world isn't just full of white heterosexual people. It's not. Gay people exist. And I know a lot of y'all don't want to deal with it. We're talking about we got an agenda and we're shoving things down your throat. Man on woman sex and kissing and shit been shoved down my goddamn throat as long as I've been on this goddamn earth. You don't see us out here all upset about it. Because of course you'll say, because it's normal. To who? You? Because you say so? Because people in society have willed it so? Gay people and trans people have existed on this earth long before speech replaced sound language. Y'all just now noticing it because y'all see it all over TV now. The industry has taken forever to play catch up. Just like they still playing catch up over some other stuff. We're going to get to that with the Oscars. 95 years they've been around and y'all still ain't nominating women in the directors category. Y'all only got 2 black people nominated this year. Brian Tyree Henry and Angela Bassett. They're the only 2. So while Hollywood is playing catch up, and a lot of y'all get y'all education from your damn TV because y'all don't get out or y'all don't know nothing past the neighborhood in which you live in. A lot of y'all don't leave the block, so y'all haven't been exposed to a lot of things. This is the repercussions which what we got to deal with. So anyway, shout out to Pedro. And like I said, if y'all got a problem seeing queer people on your screens or anybody that is not a representation of you, then you know what? Live in your little bubble and just be boring and miserable and basic and tired. Because as long as there's breath in my body, we're gonna see these people. And as artists, we have the right to see who we are reflected on the screen. If y'all mad about it, stay mad. You missing out on a great show because you don't want to see gay people. Anyway, so let's move on and talk about Miss Porsha, who was on Breakfast Club this past week. So she filled in, as I said, as a guest co-host on The Breakfast Club, and during the topic regarding Angela Yee appearing on Tamron's show, where she claimed she opened up about her time on The Breakfast Club. Porsha weighed in on her experience on Tamron Hall, and she had some harsh words for Tamron, basically. So the former The Breakfast Club host, Angela Yee, discussed her departure from the Power 105-based program. And she said something about being the only female voice on the radio show. And what the hell's his name? Envy. I don't particularly care for him. He's such a damn cornball. But anyway, so he called cap on what she said. But to give y'all context, we have a clip. Let's get to it. And then we'll come back and talk more about this topic.
When is the wedding? Right now, we haven't set our date. We are dating right now. He's still courting me, in the South.
How are you engaged and dating?
You don't date your husband?
No, I married him.
You should be dating. You should be keeping the excitement going. We're enjoying each other.
You're engaged to be married.
Right, and I'm still his special sweetheart. We are in the honeymoon phase.
Talking to Tamron, she would have been able to expound on that. But when you have someone like a Tamron talking to you and she's giving you accolades and she's, raising you up to do nothing but set you up to say something that's going to be catchy and she can look like a journalist, then that's where you find Angela in this place,
First of all, dummy, Tamron is a journalist. Unlike you, who's a personality who worked on Dish Nation, reciting whatever producers tell you without you doing the actual research. You would sit there, you would read the damn script, and you'd give your opinions. It's not the same as what Tamron does. She is a journalist in the same vein as Barbara Walters. I'm like, child, this is the same fool who really thought there was trains in the Underground Railroad. Yes, she said that shit herself. She know now that's not a fact, but back in the day, that's the foolishness that came out of her mouth. So yeah, whether or not Angela Yee misspoke in her situation, she had an opportunity to correct it. She said she was the only female that worked on the show. I can get it if she was the only one that was in the room with Charlamagne and Envy because she's a woman and these are two guys, and people felt like she just, I guess they felt birds of a feather throw shade together. Shout out to Lindsay and Remy because that's the name of their show. Look at me plugging people's shit. But it fit in with the context of this. They felt that, they was all in the same room together, that Angela Yee was a ride or die. She was, she's with them. But quiet as it's kept, Angela was no angel. She was slick with her mouth and was doing some slick shit too. Now they both matured over the years, but for you to sit there and say that you was the only female that worked on the show, when people are saying that's not true, okay, Tamron's giving her flowers and this, that, and the other, but Angela could have spoke up at any time and said that, and really made, try to make sense of what she was trying to say instead of saying she was the only woman on the show. Like it was just men, period. Producers, whatever, all working on the show, and she the only woman. Because then people were like, well, fuck my drag. I'm working behind the scenes and you ain't never seen me. You don't acknowledge me. You don't know that I work here and I'm a woman. But as for Porsha, she was called by Kenya Moore, hair care, Porsha, WHORSHA, Porsha. Tamron was giving you flowers and you wrote your book or whatever because of the pandemic, that situation. She's going to give you your flowers when need be, but she's also going to hold your feet to the fire and ask you the questions that the people want to know. And what the people wanted to know was the situation with you and the African, Simon Gabadio, who she ended up marrying last year. What was up with that? First of all, we all know how Simon came on the show. She was supposed to be friends with the girl Fallon, who was married to Simon at the time. Fallon and him was married. They came on the show. They were trying to bring her into the show, and they used Porsha to be like the friend to bring her in. This is what they do now. Before, back in the day, in the early seasons of The Housewives, it was about, oh, if you knew these people, we're going to bring them in. Now it's sort of like they have an idea for a cast member, and they want to be like, you know what, we're going to have you be the friend to bring this person in, even though y'all not real friends. We're gonna pretend like y'all are. Reality shows ain't all that real. I don't know if y'all know that, but it's not. It's all improvised. They do the setting up the scene with the production. They have the, you have the story producers, that sort of thing. Excuse me. But for the most part, reality shows ain't all that real. So Porsha was there to play the game. She saw this opportunity with Simon with all his money, and she ended up marrying him. People called her a home wrecker. So Tamron's bringing these things up, and if she thinks that she's gonna go on there and she tried to use she's a black woman. Oh, I went on the show because she's black and the woman is nah. See, this is I was saying before, but when y'all talk about Jada Pinkett and Will Smith and things, a lot of people tend to think, because you're a certain race, you're a certain gender, you're a certain that they're off limits because we here. Oh, now black people want to sit together? And the other time, y'all got this whole crab in the barrel mentality when it comes to shit. But when it comes to the stories of wanting to get the tea, now all of a sudden, we family. I'm off limits. We here, right? No. You don't get to pick and choose when you want to be for the people and when you want to have the crab in the barrel mentality and fuck your people and step over them to get to the gold mine. We ain't doing that. You don't get to pick and choose. Because it's funny, I was talking about this with a coworker of mine the other day. She's very pro-black, just like I am. And it's like she said, we don't stick together as a people. So you don't get to pick and choose when you want to stick with your people and when you want to go against your people. So once again, Porsha came on TV, sound like a damn idiot. And shout out to the people in the comment section of the Breakfast Club who was basically going in on Porsha like, Tamron is a journalist. She was doing her job. She wasn't there being messy. Now all talk show hosts do it. They have their little moments where they're gonna color the little scenario and be a little extra with the commentary. Tamron throw her little shade. She a Virgo. We got a little backhand little shit that we say, but we throw a little shade when need be, or we'll say a little something slick. But that's how we are. We slick with the mouth. I'm slick with mine. That's why I said Tamron's a Virgo, and so am I. So I know her. I know the tea. I know the lingo. But fortunately to learn, she is not exempt from the smoke. And the questions that we wanted to know, Tamron asked. So don't try to just go against like question this lady's integrity because you ain't like the way she came at you. Go back to being Simon's wife and get off my damn TV screen. Anyway, so the Woman King director, Gina Prince-Bythewood, is continuing to slam the Oscars snubbing The Woman King, which is one of my favorite films to come out of the 2022. I was going to say out of the year, meaning last year, because it didn't come out this year. Now, in an interview with People at a pre-Oscar dinner on Wednesday, the filmmaker made it clear how she felt about The Woman King not getting a single Oscar nomination, saying, "I'll never get over it because what happened was egregious and it speaks to much bigger issues in our industry." This is what she said, who, Prince-Bythewood, in case you didn't know, made her directorial debut with, I know, a lot of people's favorite movie, Love and Basketball, back in 2000. She also went on to say, but it also speaks to who I am and people around me, these actors. We will never take our foot off the gas. We're ready to do something next. We're ready to do something as big. We're ready to do something together. So we always keep that energy no matter what happens. Viola Davis' performance in the film was acclaimed by critics, but she was shut out of the Best Actress nominations. Meanwhile, not a single woman was nominated for Best Director. Now, The Woman King features an all-star cast, in case you didn't know, including Davis, Thuso Mbudu, Sheila Atim, and John Boyega, among others. When it debuted in theaters last year, the historical action drama was met with positive reviews and achieved modest success in the box office. I heard it grossed to $100 million. I also bought the movie because I didn't go to the movies to see it. I wanted to see it. But I didn't get a chance to see it in the theater. So when it ended up on demand, I paid like $25. And I was like, I want to own this movie. And I watched it on my big screen TV in my room. And I loved the film. I loved the fight sequences, the action, seeing Viola Davis getting in there and fucking people up. I was here for it. I live for Viola Davis. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the Amanda Waller series. Maybe they can get her to get in on some action too. But I'm with Gina. And I'm glad that she's not afraid to speak out on, this type of matter. Now, she also wrote, because we talked about it prior, a couple of months ago, it was last month, I believe, she wrote an essay for the Hollywood Reporter, where she described the snub as an eye-opener. She said the Academy made a very loud statement, and for me to stay quiet is to accept that statement. So I agreed to speak up on behalf of Black women whose work has been dismissed in the past, is dismissed now, like Alex Diop and Saint Omer, Chinone Chukwu, and Till, and for those who haven't even stepped on a set. So this is what I always say, like with the Oscars, the reason why it's good to see like women, not just Black women, but women getting nominated, because it shows like, you know, I remember when I was in film school, there wasn't even that many girls that were going to film school, probably because it was like 2 in my class, 2, maybe 3. Because a lot of people don't see themselves doing that. But it was good to see that, you know, I'm pushing and trying to get into that and being a filmmaker. But visibility is important. And for the Oscars to just ignore people and give it to the same time, like why the hell was Avatar nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture? Why are you getting nominated in the Oscar category? Why is James Cameron getting nominated for a fucking, like, y'all, because they want to bring in those younger audiences. So we're gonna nominate Avatar and freaking Top Gun Maverick. Those are not Oscar-worthy films. They're not. You could have slipped Till in there. You damn sure could have slipped in The Woman King in that number, those top 9 and top 10 nominations. But I see why they was doing it, because they want to bring in those big numbers. The younger people are not going to come in and watch those films. They're not going to watch the boring. The Oscars is boring. I live for the Oscars, for the proper circumstances and stuff, but y'all are dry. And y'all think that you're going to bring in the MTV Movie Award, the VMA set, to watch the Oscars? They ain't going to watch. Because y'all take yourselves too damn seriously. But this is why I say diversity is more important. And this also is a sign of, you know what? And I'm going to keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. People of color, everywhere. You know, I'm here for the fact that Michelle Yeoh, Ke Huy Quan, you know, the director, one of the directors, I believe, because there's 2 directors, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I believe one is a white guy, one is an Asian guy. I'm glad that we have the fact that we finally see Asian people get nominated. Took y'all long enough. But I'm glad that we're finally seeing that visibility. However, we need to stop looking to these white award shows for validation, because they don't see it for us. We bitch and moan about Oscar so white. And the following year, they overcompensate, so then they pick a Will Packer. They have, you know, the marching band come out, the dancers dressed like they just came straight from Wakanda. Where they want to overdo it. Yeah, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. They want to overdo it with the blackness, to overcompensate with the fact that they continue to ignore people of color. So we gotta, you know, paint the town niggas with niggas. This is what they do. This is what Hollywood does every year. And then they're like, you know what? We gave y'all a little inch. We gave y'all the thing. See, we did it. We're progressive. We're hip. And then the following year, they go back to the shit they did before. And they're like, you see, we did. And this is the thing that pisses me off about Hollywood. So when people try to use the word woke in the wrong context, that ain't what I mean. I mean the fact when y'all do this fake selective outrage, where y'all try to act like you're progressive Hollywood, but you're not really doing it. You're like, you know, see, we gave you a little pomp and circle, we put on a little show, we let the black man produce, and then Will Smith goes and slaps somebody on stage, and now we got to go back to the other shit because black people don't know how to act. It's like what he said at the end of his comedy special. I didn't hit him because I know that my mama taught me not to fight in front of white people. And then he drops the mic and then he goes off the stage, which is facts, because we always say that. Don't fight in front of white people, you give the man ammunition. So shout out to Gina Prince-Bythewood, and keep speaking out and keep putting out those films or whatever. But this is why I say, you know, at the end of the day, we as people of color, you got to support the NAACP Image Awards, the BET Awards, the Soul Train Awards, all these award shows that celebrate Black excellence and people of color, because NAACP is open not just to Black people, but anybody who's a person of color who wants to be represented. So we need to start being vigilant and showing up to those awards and stop thumbing your nose at those awards because you feel like those little awards don't mean anything. But you seeking validation from those other award shows that that would spit on you if you was on fire, basically. So let's get to this final topic so we can wrap up the show, and then we can play this little Nas X little fashion clip, I guess we're at the end of the thing. So we was talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once earlier. You know, I live in Michelle Yeoh. I felt like Hollywood's finally woken up to her after underusing her over the years. And now they're, speaking of overcompensation, y'all playing catch up with the Asian, cinematic universe. So I'm gonna call it for now. Everything Everywhere All at Once Best Actress Oscar nominee Michelle Yeoh may have found herself in the middle of some controversy regarding Academy rules. Now, shout out to Complex for this story. To be clear, the debate in question is not focused on the acclaimed actress's own words. Instead, the Best Actress nominee had shared screenshots of a Vogue article about this year's class of nominees. Now, the article by Radhika Seth noted that it's now been more than 20 years since a non-white actress won in the category. A key part of the article, the one shared by Yeoh, addressed Cate Blanchett's appearance in the same category for her performance in Tar. Here's an excerpt. It's saying, meanwhile, for Yeoh, an Oscar will be life-changing. Her name will forever be preceded by the phrase Academy Award winner, and it should result in her getting media parts after a decade of being criminally underused in Hollywood. As Variety reports, some have pointed to an Academy rule about references to other nominees, specifically the barring of mentioning fellow competitors by name or title. Noted in that report is the similar questions were previously raised surrounding a social media campaign behind Andrea Riseborough's To Leslie performance. And the whole Andrea Riseborough situation stemmed from the fact that they said that she was using a lot of her celebrity friends. And I'll read that in a second. They would say that she was using her celebrity friends to basically push to get her an Oscar nomination. But some people said it's a form of cheating. Now, wait, it's a little blurry, so I can't read it. It says directors will say that Blanchett is a stronger performance. The acting veteran is indisputably incredible as a prolific conductor, Lydia Tarr, but it should be noted that she already has 2 Oscars for Best Supporting Actress for The Aviator in 2005 and Best Actress for Blue Jasmine in 2014. A third will perhaps confirm her status as an industry titan, but considering her expansive and unparalleled body of work, are we still in need of yet more confirmation? Meanwhile, for Yeoh, an Oscar would be life-changing. Her name would forever be preceded by the phrase Academy Award winner, and it should result in her getting media parts after a decade of being criminally underused in Hollywood. So that was the full post, which I actually agree with. And I see what they were saying. And this is what, before this article was even written, I could have sworn I mentioned this weeks ago when I was talking about this. I want Michelle Yeoh to win for this, and this is why. Because at the end of the day, yeah, Cate Blanchett is a woman of a certain age. I know Hollywood normally discriminates against certain women once they turn a certain age, but there are certain actors in Hollywood, actresses, that are exempt from this rule. Meryl Streep being one of them, Cate Blanchett also, and also Frances McDormand, because they're character actors. And to me, it's like, yes, Cate Blanchett, while I did think she did a phenomenal job in Tar, she has 2 Oscars. Michelle Yeoh has never won, and in my opinion, I feel like at 60, I don't see this moment ever coming for Michelle Yeoh after this. Like I said, Hollywood tries to play like it's so progressive, but y'all still don't open up y'all doors for women of different races to get certain parts. Y'all still look to your top 5 white women that y'all want to give awards to, or to give the part to. It has to come to a point where the people from everything, everywhere, all at once has to write the article or write the script to have certain actors in mind, like a Michelle Yeoh or Kiwi Kwan. Kiwi Kwan's already a lot for his part, for his Oscars. Everybody's already assuming he's gonna win tomorrow or in a couple of hours, because technically it is Sunday. Michelle Yeoh would definitely want to win for that reason. So I've always had it in my thing where it's like, you know what? I definitely want Michelle Yeoh to win, because I feel like this will never, I don't feel like another opportunity is going to come her way. And yes, I'm being cynical, because this is the way our society unfortunately is. When I see beyond the rose-colored glasses when it comes to people of color. There's a lot of white folks who don't see it and want to play into the whole Hollywood, logistics of things. Oh, well, shit, Kate Blanchett was the great actress. I ain't thinking about it. We talking politics. The politics of the Oscars. That's what I'm looking at. And the politics is Kate got enough damn Oscars. She'll always have another opportunity. If she does another film, she'll probably get nominated in 2024. And she'll always have those opportunities. When I look at certain people of color, I don't see them as another opportunity. Just like Angela Bassett. She better get a goddamn Oscar tomorrow, or in a couple of hours. Otherwise, I'm rioting. Yeah, I'm throwing a brick in somebody's window. So, do I think Michelle Yeoh, I feel like this was unintentional, what the whole controversy and everything is, but in my heart of hearts, I do feel like she should get the award. And for the reason that I brought up. So it is what it is. But anyway, good luck to all the nominees. I guess we'll break down the Oscars on the next episode, next week when we come back for a brand new episode of our show. So I want to thank you all for watching. Y'all come back now, next week, for a brand new episode of The Rundown. Joe's Chris Avalon, so definitely, as I said down at the bottom, let's, follow the social media platforms, all that good stuff. And also, I should point out that, Paris Fashion Week has been going on. I don't know if it's still going, but Lil Nas X was at Paris Fashion Week, at the Versailles Fashion Week, looking fierce with his little silver skirt on. Also, Zaya Wade walked at the Miu Miu fashion show, where Miley Cyrus was there. Dua Lipa was there. Shout out to Whitney Williams. I can't call her Dua Lipa no more. Now she Dua Lipa.
I am so honored to meet you. Thank you for everything.
We're going to start the show, right?
Sorry. Yeah, that's all I was going to say. I'll leave you alone now.
Good.
So
Isn't that good?
I'm kidding.
She had to come for me.
And shout out to Shan, her man, because her man was there too. That's Amber Rose ex. So I live for that. Like, Lil Nas X was up there gushing over Cher, talking about she's everything and good to beat her. Lil Nas X beating everybody. Did he ever meet Madonna? I think they did. But it's like he beat all the icons. It's a lucky boy. Like, he's definitely in there with the elite. Because you at Paris Fashion Week, sitting front row, and you're hanging out with Miley Cyrus and taking pictures with her and Elton John, and then you're meeting Cher, and Cher there with her new man, which word on the curb is her family ain't all too happy with him. I don't know if you believe that story, but I think Radar Online posted, you can take them with a grain of salt. So she's there with the new boo, who's much younger, like 40 some odd years younger, and they're thinking like she's burning through her millions to support this dude and keep him around. But I'm like, look, she feel like that man keeping her nice and young. Madonna got her new man too, some 29-year-old boxer that her kids, go to his gym and all this other stuff. So look, the nanas is out here getting and dipping it, doing it with these young boys. So, ooh, come on, we got a new look. Anyway, so yeah, so let's wrap this up. So shout out to all of y'all that went to Fashion Week, because it was looking better than New York Fashion Week. Child, quiet as it's kept. So thank you all for watching. Tune in next week for a brand new episode of our show. And yeah, don't forget to spring forward them clocks if you don't have it automatically on your phone and your watch, because daylight savings time is coming. That means spring has sprung. And I love you all for watching. Till next time, ciao, darlings. Oh, come on, colors. She's color. She's in living color. Color. The colors. A new cut. A new color.